Hi, welcome back. Today we'll be looking at the Jaecoo J7, which has really disrupted the local market. In its first few months on sale, it's helped Chery reach record sales figures, selling over 2,000 vehicles for the first time. It has really moved the benchmark in terms of Chinese design, and today we'll have a look if this is the best Chinese offering available in South Africa today. In this review we will cover the stunning exterior, we'll have a look at the different variants that are available, we'll look at the interior, and the big question, what is it like to drive the Jaecoo on the road? We'll look at service and warranty, and as always, I'll give you the cost of ownership numbers. Starting off with the exterior, I think we can all agree this is a gorgeous vehicle all around. You've got 5 colors to choose from, and each one you can take a black roof and a different color at the bottom if that's what you prefer. I think in all the colors it looks really good. It's got very much a Range Rover vibe all across, the way the door handles pop out from the body. Pretty much exactly what like you would see on a Range Rover. The lines across is very smooth. Yeah, I like it from all angles. I think it looks very good. Maybe if I had to pick one thing, but that's really nitpicking, it's the fake exhausts all the way at the back. But I guess the likes of Mercedes is also doing this on the likes of the C-Class, so can you really complain about that? I don't really think so. In terms of the variants, you've got 3 to pick from. There's the Vortex, which is the entry-level model, the Glacier, which sits in the middle, and then the range topper is called the Inferno, and this is also available in all-wheel drive. All 3 of these variants have exactly the same powertrain. They're powered by a 1.6 turbo petrol engine. This produces 145 kilowatt and 290 Newton meters of torque. The engine is mated to a 7-speed dual clutch transmission. It comes in automatic across the range, there's no manual option available. And in the on-the-road section we'll cover how this drives on the road, because with most Chinese cars, this is really where the drawback has been in the past. So we'll see if that's the same case with the Jaecoo or if they've progressed in that department. The Vortex and the Glacier is front-wheel drive only, and as mentioned, the Inferno is available or comes only as an all-wheel drive derivative. Let's have a quick look what you get from each of the variants. So the Vortex comes in at around 550,000 Rand. What do you get with this? To name a few things, you get LED headlights and fog lights, you get 18-inch alloys, power adjustable front seats, which is great. There's also this neat feature which we'll cover when we get to the interior section in terms of moving the passenger seat, which I find very cool. Then you get an electric tailgate, a 13.2-inch infotainment system, which is really this car's party piece, and that gets bigger in the Glacier and the Inferno. You get 7 airbags, a 360-degree camera system, a wireless charging pad, as well as rain sensing wipers. Moving up to the Glacier, which comes in at just under 600,000 Rand, the 18-inch wheels get upgraded to 19-inch alloys. You get a panoramic sunroof, even larger infotainment system with a 14.8-inch system fitted to the Glacier as well as the Inferno. You get heated and ventilated front seats with memory function. I think the biggest thing here is the memory function piece. Most of you who's got a partner who's a little bit different in dimensions to yourself will know the frustration of getting in and the seat has been moved forward all the way or has been moved back all the way. So having that memory function where you can press a button and have it set up exactly like you had it, that's great. This is also very handy when your car goes in for a service, because they tend to move these things around and just finding that optimal driving position takes a bit of time again. You also get heads-up display, an integrated dash cam, adaptive cruise control, privacy glass, and additional safety features such as rear cross traffic assist and lane departure warning. For those of you that are unsure, rear cross traffic assist is basically when you're backing out of a parking. It's got sensors at the back which tells you if a car is approaching. This makes it much easier and safer backing out of a parking bay, especially if you've got limited visibility. Moving up to the Inferno, which is around 680,000 Rand, the big thing you get is all-wheel drive. It also adds 4 more driving modes, taking that up to 7 in total. Then you get heated and a leather-trimmed steering wheel. It also adds higher ground clearance, greater wading depth, which is basically the depth that you can drive through water without damaging your vehicle, and better approach angles at the front and at the rear. The Inferno is really the one you want to go for if you plan on doing some off-roading, even though I see this vehicle as mainly being used for city driving kids around, dropping them off, that sort of thing. But the Inferno is being touted as an off-road option, so if that's something you're interested in, something you definitely need to look at, With the vehicle coming with 19-inch alloys, I don't really see it being touted as an off-roader, but maybe that's something you can upgrade and then you can make use of the all-wheel drive system to do some mild off-roading. I really don't see it doing hard off-roading stuff like you would say do in a Prado, for instance. Before moving into the interior, if you're enjoying the video so far, please consider subscribing to the channel. It really helps us out a lot, and supporting local YouTube is just the right thing to do. Moving to the interior, it's got a very premium feel inside. It's well put together. You won't find a lot of hard plastics around, some at the bottom but sort of at the top, and everything you'll be touching on a day-to-day basis. It's mostly soft touch materials. I think it's a well put together cabin. The difficult thing to miss is this big infotainment screen running right in the middle. Question is this screen getting a little bit too big? I think it's a bit of a safety concern, especially there's no buttons around. So if you want to, let's say, change the temperature of the climate control, for instance, you will need to look down at the screen to go into the appropriate places, and stopping every time to make these adjustments, I don't think a lot of people will be doing that. Most of them will be doing this on the fly, which might create a bit of safety concerns if you're traveling alone. Obviously, if you're traveling with someone, this isn't a big thing. I would have liked if there was just 1 or 2 buttons, maybe for stuff like climate control, which you might adjust a little bit more often. The audio you can change on the steering wheel. You've got buttons to increase or decrease audio and a few other functions. So those things you can control there. Climate control, I guess, for me was the big thing. The infotainment system is really responsive. The display is very vibrant, very bright, and quite smooth in terms of transitioning between screens. So overall, I think this is a well laid out infotainment system with good functionality. How it holds up over time, we'll need to see. Let's talk about the seats. Now, they might look like leather, but it's actually a leather red sort of material. But if you didn't tell someone, they wouldn't know. They feel very premium. It's electric adjustment on all variants. As mentioned, there's the memory function from the Glacier variant up, which is really good. The adjustment for the passenger seat right here in the middle column, I think, is very clever. If you're driving without a front passenger, moving the seat will be a challenge as the controls are all the way on the passenger side door. And you might have a kid at the back or just need a little bit more space there. And in terms of moving the seat, this makes it a whole lot easier. I think this is very clever. I wish a lot more manufacturers would consider including something like this. It's just a quality of life change. Then you get ambient lighting across, as you can see between these 2 different variants that the dealership had on display. The one comes in a bit of a pink sort of tone, the other one is a bit more blue. You get an integrated dash cam which sits behind the rear view mirror at the top, and you get a Sony sound system. It's decent, it plays good tunes. It's not Bang & Olufsen quality, but you won't be disappointed. The only thing on the interior, this is at the front and sort of in the rear seats, that I'm not sold on are these exposed bolts at the door handles. Just looks like they're missing a cover to me personally, but that's personal taste. Maybe you don't have an issue with that. Moving into the rear seats, the leg room is very generous. The headroom surprisingly also is not an issue. I'm about 190 centimeters, and sitting at the back, I don't have an issue with headroom. With the roof sort of slanting back, I expected this to be a problem, but it really isn't. So you won't have a problem in that regard. There's no climate control at the back, so you can't set a separate temperature, but you do have separate air vents, so at least the passengers at the back will get some fresh air moving through, and you get ISOFIX ports at the back as well. The boot is decent, it's not massive. If you're going for a long holiday, you'll more likely than not need to take a trailer with you, but for day-to-day running around, it should be sufficient. You also get a boot cover, which in South Africa is quite key, so people can't see what is in the back. And you get a full-size spare wheel underneath, which again, with the quality of our roads and specifically these low-profile tires, is always a good option to have just to get you out of a pickle. So what is it like to drive the Jaecoo on the road? The cabin noise is relatively low. It's comfortable at highway speeds. I think in terms of the Chinese offerings, it's really up there as one of the best. Definitely better than Chery in my experience. The ride quality is overall very pleasant. It's a little bit firm on bad roads, specifically on the Inferno model, but as this is tailored more towards the off-roading piece, that you'd expect the suspension to be a little bit more firm. In general, also these low-profile tires aren't that comfortable compared to a tire with a bit of a higher sidewall, which can absorb some of the road surface. Indicated fuel consumption for the Vortex and the Glacier is about 7 liters per 100, and for the Inferno it's about 7.9 liters per 100. I would adjust this up based on real-world experience. I would say the Vortex and the Glacier would be closer to 9 liters per 100, and the Inferno probably closer to 10 if you had to be honest, because you'll pay a price having that all-wheel drive system driving all the wheels all the time. The fuel tank is 51 liters, which at today's fuel prices will equate to about 1,200 Rand per tank. And this means that in the Vortex and in the Glacier, you can expect about 560 to 600 kilometers per tank of fuel. In the Inferno, this drops down to probably more closer to 500 kilometers per tank of fuel. In terms of power, this is not a sports car, this is a mid-sized SUV, but there's enough power. I certainly didn't feel a lack of power when moving around. The first gear can be quite sensitive, maybe that's something you can adjust with some of the driving modes, but apart from this, yeah, it was a really pleasant driving experience. Insurance cost, again, just important to stress, this is risk profile dependent, sort of your accident history, where you park your vehicle, that sort of thing. But you're looking at about 1,200 to 1,500 Rand per month, depending on risk indicators. From a warranty and service plan, you're looking at 5 years, 60,000 kilometer service plan. The warranty is 5 years or 150,000 kilometers. And as with all Chery models, there's the sort of carrot, I guess, which is the 10-year, 1 million kilometer engine warranty. The important thing to note is this is for the first owner only, and the likelihood, I guess, of you driving 1 million kilometers in 10 years is very slim. So it will most likely just be a 10-year engine warranty, and if you buy a car second-hand, you won't get that with. It's only for the first owner. So what do you think about this Jaecoo J7? Look, if you compare the Inferno to its competitors in the market, the likes of the Hyundai Tucson N-Line, the Toyota RAV4 VX, or the VW Tiguan all-wheel drive variant, all of these are over 800,000 or just about around 800,000. And you can get into the J7 Inferno for basically 680,000, which is 120,000 Rand saving. Is it worth paying 120,000 more to get into one of the others? That decision you'll need to make. The other manufacturers has got a bit more of a proven track record in the market, but Chery has also not just been around since yesterday. They've been in the local market for quite a number of years now, and by the looks of it, they keep expanding the range, keep adding new offerings, so they're really pushing the envelope and seems like they're investing quite a bit in the local market. And with that investment, it should give some assurance that they won't pull out of the market and you'll be stuck with your Chery or your Jaecoo for the long run. But keen to get your thoughts in the comments. Will you consider this vehicle? Is it something that you would buy? And what do you think about the interior, exterior? Look forward to your feedback.